welcome to Mentoring with Geraldine and the Bite Size Podcast. How the devil are you and how is it all happening with you? So last week I was talking about those boundaries and it kind of segues, but probably doesn't really. But in my mind it does, segues into us thinking really about, the challenges of a fluctuating income, because that is what can happen in our small businesses. And how do we deal with that? So we're setting our boundaries time-wise, and we're working out our, what we're doing and how much money we've got coming in and how we're going to pay our bills. So I thought, maybe some budgeting and financial planning strategies. And let's talk a little bit about creating that financial stability. So, we know what it's like, right? You've got maybe 3 new clients one week and then no new clients the next week. And new clients generate greater income, don't they? They have a higher first appointment price because, well, traditionally, and some people do still for some of their appointments, they will have private health rebate, right? So they get more back for a first appointment because the private health companies and everybody recognizes that we spend more time on the person and in that first appointment. So now your first appointment, I know you've heard me harping on about it, should be 1 hour. Okay, it's like 1 hour, that's your lot. Okay, because you have to work on the client once they've left. So we've got to think about our time frames, and we talked about that in our last podcast, didn't we? So when we think about this financial stability, we have 3 new clients this week, we've got no new clients next week, and the week after is the holidays. You're going on holiday, so you don't earn any money. So we've got to work out our year, right? So I always say I work 40 weeks a year, and that's how I work it out. So I know I'm working 40 weeks a year. I can't sign up for or do anything in July. I can't sign up for or do anything in January. I can if I wanted to, but what if I was away all December? Then there'd be no flow on money into January. Okay, so I have to think about how and where my money's going and how and where it's coming in to me. So if I'm working 40 weeks a year, so there are 52 weeks in the year, we all get that, right? We learnt that one. But when we think about how many we actually work, and then we have to spread the cost if you have rooms if you're working 40 weeks a year, you've got to pay for rooms 52 weeks a year. You have to pay bills 52 weeks a year. So we need to cover what we're doing. Are your prices covering your HECS fees in Australia, your education fees to get this degree that you've got? Are what you're charging your clients covering the amount of work that you're doing? And realistically, they should do. Okay, some parts of the country charge a lot more. People in New Zealand aren't charging necessarily as much. If we're in a lower socioeconomic area, we might be charging less. But that's not to say we can't attract the higher paying client who is somewhere else. All right. So with those lower paying clients, they might be happy to be in a group. If you're in a local community, you might be able to run a group, charging everyone a little bit less, because then you're spreading your time over all of those people, like going to a yoga class. There's 20 of you in the class paying $20. Whereas if you had a private yoga session, it would be $60 or $100. And it still kind of doesn't work out. People look at it and they go, oh, wow, they're doing really well. They got 20 people in this class charging $20 a time. And, a one-off session for me would be $100. Wow, they're doing so much better having a class. There's still a lot of prep to have a class. There's still a lot of organization to run a class. There's still a lot that you have to do. You have to promote it. All of the things go into that, but it does mean you have a burst of money. So, can you run talks on nutrition? Can you promote what you do perhaps at the local library? Is there somewhere locally, do you have a local Facebook page that you can put your courses onto or your classes, so that we have maybe a burst of income in January, because maybe you do weight loss and everybody has their their New Year's resolution. So they are jumping at the chance to do your weight loss program in January. So you're going to have money come in every single January. So unlike me, who goes, I'm not signing up for anything in January because, I'm never sure about December. November for me is always good. End of year is always good. Middle of the year, I always go on holiday. Go through and have a look. I mean, I'm being honest with you here. I'm being absolutely honest. I promote my Black Friday deal, so I get November money to cover me for December and January and my holidays. Look at what you're doing. When are you not working, and how can you supplement that income? Or is it that you're simply spreading your income over the whole year by budgeting properly? Okay. And we do need to budget. We need to know what our incomings and outgoings are. There is a spreadsheet in my academy. There's a spreadsheet available. I'm not sure if it's in the downloads. Maybe we'll put it in the downloads. So there is a spreadsheet there that you can work out. You make a copy of it. You don't use the one there. You make a copy of it and then you use it as a copy because it's a Google spreadsheet. It's a Google sheet. And then you can work out how much you're spending or how much you need to earn to cover your costs is a better way of doing it. So it's a better way of explaining it, I should say. Because we need to budget, we need to think about how much we're paying out for all the things we do. So you may have HECS fees that you've got to cover, or your university fees, your loans that you've got to cover. You might have a mortgage. You certainly have rent of some description, chances are. So there's all of these bills that come out every year, and you might be able to share those bills with somebody else, or you might have to have a side hustle. And in the side hustle, hopefully you're getting clients from the side hustle. And it's nice to have a side hustle, to be perfectly honest. I like doing other things. I like having other people to talk to that isn't necessarily about their health. All right. So what is the other thing that you can do? It might be that you work in a health food shop. It might be that you're a nurse, in which case you're always talking health. You're never talking anything else. But it's really nice sometimes to have a side hustle that you're not speaking one-to-one about somebody's health and you're able to do something different. So think about it. Do I need a side hustle? Do I want a side hustle? What would that side hustle be that will complement, that will get me clients coming into my main business? Is there something I'd rather be doing than the current side hustle or one-to-one consulting? Maybe I have to put my all into creating groups so that I can have group education and people come to see me as part of a group. And so it's only 3 times a week. So I don't have all that pressure of the individual's health needs. So we need to sit down. How many weeks a year are we working? How many days are we working? What times are we working? Again, we're thinking about those boundaries and sorting out our timing. And that's a lot to do with our finances as well. How can we spread the costs of things? So, I've just said maybe create programs. What about charging as packages so that the person's coming back, especially if you're struggling with the return clients? We need to look at why are we struggling with return clients. So is it because we just don't book them in? We forget to book them in? Is it because we book them in, but they don't come back? What is their reason for not coming back? All right. So it might be that if you're struggling to rebook your clients because you forget to book them in, then you have a package because then they'll book in those 3 appointments. It's all done and dusted. And then it's the 3rd appointment where you have to remember to say, right, I've seen you 3 times. We're starting to get on top of things, and I need to see you again in 3 weeks' time. Or let's do another package of 3 so that we keep this momentum going. The second package would be generally cheaper than the first package because we don't have that first appointment cost in there. If you are doing health rebates, if you have got health rebates, then you would give a receipt. Even though they've paid a package amount, you would give a receipt at the end of every appointment because otherwise they can't access those health rebates without that separate receipt for each appointment. However they've paid for it, it's a receipt at the end of each appointment. So I'm actually happy without health rebates because I found that that was one of my stumbling blocks back in the day, is people say, "Oh, my health funds run out, so yeah, well, I won't book back in again," and yet they only got like $20. So I was like, "What the?" And then it went away, and now nobody says to me anything about health rebates. So massage therapists who might be listening to this, you're thinking, yeah, at the end of the year, people start stretching out their appointments because they haven't got the rebate anymore. Whereas if they didn't have it in the first place, it's not something you miss. All right. So, we've got to think about our budgeting. We've got to think about our strategic financial planning. And you have to think about your appointments. How do you conduct that appointment to get those clients coming back? How do you get them coming back through the door? How do you get them coming in the first place? What is happening? What are they seeing in the first place to be giving you that money? And how often are you working? How are you going to spread these earnings over a whole year? You need to know how many clients you need to see a week to cover all of the year. And then you start working towards that. So you've got a number in your head. I need 15 clients a week. So I don't personally like to go over 15 clients a week because I start to get, my empathy bucket really empties out, and I don't have that compassion that I need once I get over 15 one-to-one appointments. So by doing groups on the side, it means that I don't run out, and I can see 30 people a week if I wanted to. When I'm seeing, say, 20 or 30 one-to-ones, it was generally always the weeks before my school holidays, or before school holidays for the children, but before we went away on holiday, or I had the children full-time, because I liked having the children full-time in my holidays, and I would only have maybe one working day in the holiday. Of course, I'm not earning any money, so I'd do the weeks before the holidays would be chockers, and I would actually get a student or a new graduate in with me to help me out, and that way I could do 30 people that week, and that covered, my holidays. That covered because the money came in that 1 week. So how are you getting the money to come in during those slightly tighter times when you're on holiday, or you're sick, or something's happening in the family that you're not earning that money? What else can you supplement with? And on top of all of that, what about your social security, your pension? What are you going to do when you're older? Are you putting money away for when you retire? Because you should be. Okay, no one else is. Well, you will get money in Australia and you will get money in New Zealand, but it's not enough. So, how are we saving towards that retirement? Are we putting money away? That should be part of that financial planning. Holidays always come to my mind because I'm always saving for the next holiday. I do love a good holiday. And a bad holiday, because he's always good in it, right? Is there ever a bad holiday? So, so I'm always saving for something, but some things have to go on in the background. There have to be savings for the rainy days, for sick days, for, your pension, or, your social security, whatever you're going to call it, your retirement fund. There have to be savings for those going on all the time as well. So that's part of that basic financial understanding. So the spreadsheet's there. Make a copy. Don't write on the one that's there, because chances are it's not in copy mode. So I will make sure that it's there in the download so that you can download it and use it. So I'm going to leave it there because I really want you to think about your finances, and is naturopathy or nutrition or massage or healthcare, whatever it is that your side hustle? Or is this your job that you want and that you're doing? And the other thing you do is the brain change and the side hustle, because if you're working for somebody else, then they're putting into your sick days, pension, all of those things. They're doing all of those things for you because that's automated in Australia. So is that the side hustle, or is this the side hustle? If this is a side hustle, what financially are you doing with the money? How are you using it? When this was my side hustle, when I was nursing, so this was my side hustle, nursing was my main occupation, then the money I was earning from it was for holidays. That was my holiday money and my education money, because initially it was just for education. So nursing had to pay for the education. And then this money from naturopathy was just paying for more and more education, and it was paying for holidays. So how is it that you're using your money? I didn't have to use it back in the day initially for mortgage when the kids were really little, because we'd planned our money. Whereas now, money goes into the mortgage. So I think, what is happening with your finances? How are you working it out? And have you sat down and worked out a whole year? Have you sat down and worked out, where does my money go and how much is coming in? How much do I need to earn? How many weeks a year am I working, and how many days out of those weeks am I working? I was only working 2 when it was a side hustle, and they were 2 half days. I had a late night, always full my late night, a late night Monday, always work a Monday. So I'd have a late night Monday, always full. And then I would do a Tuesday morning, and sometimes, depending what's happening with the kids, it might be an afternoon or something. But the Monday night, because I organised, someone to care for the kids while I worked, all the rest of it. But where's your money going? And if you're new, have you really sat down and worked out, this is initially, it's going to be your side hustle, and that's fine. Don't think it's not. It is utterly okay to do one job part-time as you get into it, because you're solo. If you're working for somebody else, you're not solo, you're going full-time. You go in there, you work hard, and you do it in that space. But if you're working for yourself, then initially it's going to be a 2-job situation generally. Unless you have a sugar daddy, then great, do what you like. Does that make sense? Are you okay with what I'm saying? Are you thinking to yourself, uh-oh, or are you thinking, yeah, okay, I'm going to sit down and do that. I'm going to make a plan on that. Let me know. Email me, Geraldine at mentoringwithgeraldine.biz. Let me know. Are you making a plan on it? Are you thinking not just 6 months or 1 month or 6 months or 1 year? Are you thinking 5, 10, 15 years into the future? How far is your financial planning going? Because it's really important that it goes the distance. So there's all this, people give up, businesses fail in the first 2 to 5 years. I think a lot of businesses that we do fail in the first 2 to 5 years, not because we're not a financial success, but because we realize that there's a lot of energy and empathy that goes into these clients. There's a lot of energy going out to other people. All right. And it's hard. It can sometimes be really hard going. And that's why my groups are so good, because we get to bounce off each other. You get the support of other people to be able to talk about how difficult some clients are, and, and take that pressure off yourself. So I hope that's been positive and not a negative one today. And I hope you feel positive about how you can work out what you need and how to work out your movement forward, because it is all about moving forward with our business, isn't it? So let me know. And if you've enjoyed today, you know the deal. I'll have a 5-star review. Thank you very much. So have a good one. I look forward to catching up with you really soon. Let me know if I can help. Cheers. See ya.